Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, Luann Nigara. Luann has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. Luann brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today's a different show. It's a solo show. Yes, it is. So here's the reason for this solo show today. First of all, I personally have been, it keeps hitting me how almost unwieldy the back catalog of shows is for the podcast now, that there's nearly 300 episodes. And I think to myself, how does a new listener come in and figure out how and where and which ones to listen to? Now, of course, I really think that everybody should listen to every show. Let's not get crazy. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't. But the thing is, when you come in and you find so many shows, it's sort of like, where do you start? And the other thing is that very soon, the show is going to split up on iTunes in an archive set. So for instance, iTunes only allows 300 shows in a particular feed, and then you have to start a new feed. So when you go to iTunes now, very soon, couple weeks, you're going to see the podcast logo, and that will have episodes 300 and forward. But then it'll have another logo right there, and it'll say A Well-Designed Business Archives, and it'll be episodes 1 to 299. And so then I started to think, how is anybody ever going to figure out who and what episode they should listen to if they're new to the show? And then another thing happened. You see, the universe always does this. One thing happens, and then another thing happens, and then bam, an idea is born. So the other thing that happened was, in a Facebook group recently, a designer asked her colleagues, I really need some help. I need help getting organized and getting my system straight, and tell me what books to read, what podcasts to listen to, what's your advice? And my friend Marina Umali from Marina V Studios, she said to her, oh my goodness, you have to listen to A Well-Designed Business podcast. And of course, people mentioned other podcasts, and they mentioned books and everything else. And Renata, who is the interior designer that asked the question, she said, oh, no. I already listened to that podcast. I love Luann's podcast, but there's so much information there. I don't even know where to start with it. She goes, I listen to it regularly, but I need some organized information in my face. And so that got me to thinking, because I had already been struggling with this concept of this entire bulk, this catalog, this content now. And so what I decided to do today is select 5 areas that you may be struggling with in your business, and identify the shows that I feel are some of the top episodes to address these areas. Okay. So, but before I give you this information, I want to just share with you that this week, February 5th, was Founders Day at Kravit Inc., that they are celebrating their 100th year in business. This is one of our podcast sponsors. They are the sponsor that has been with me since day one, and they are celebrating 100 years in business, family owned the entire time, 5 generations. How remarkable is this? Think about it. If your business makes 1 year, you need to do a happy dance, right? But if your business is 10 years or 20 years or 30 years in business, but 100 years in business, the same family, 5 generations, it's absolutely amazing. And so what I would love for you to do is, if you would help me in congratulating Kravit Inc., if you would reach out to them on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter and just say, hey, great job, high five, and thank them for bringing this podcast to you. Thank them for their participation in making this happen, and really just acknowledge the accomplishment that they are celebrating all this year in 2018. Okay? Alrighty. So now let's get to the 5 topics that I selected. Practical business advice, building your pipeline, understanding you and your ideal client, straight up inspiration, just like a Rocky movie, and quick starts. And it suddenly is sounding like Alex Trebek on Jeopardy, isn't it? Anyway, alrighty, so here we go. Practical business advice, just straight up advice. These 6 episodes, these people each shared just practical advice on running an interior design firm. The first was episode 2 with Sandra Funk of House of Funk in New York and New Jersey. Sandra was on the show twice, but this first episode, this is when she first said the sentence, stand in your space, okay? Stand in your space. Decide how your interior design firm is going to run, what your ideal client's going to be like, what your system is, and don't cave, okay? She talked about how important it was to have systems, and she talked about how she has an intake process that is handled, whether the client coming through the front door or through that telephone is a friend of hers or a stranger of hers. And so that's a big lesson in there, that she handles it the same way, because I know a lot of interior designers struggle with friends that are asking for favors and couldn't you just this and couldn't you just that. And so Sandra shared a lot of just straight up practical advice for running your firm. That's episode number 2. Then we had Susan Brunnstrom in episode number 36. Susan talked about her project management systems, the way she manages her team and the different things that she has in place, the checks and balances that she has in place. I also like that Susan discussed how she makes sure she gets feedback from her clients at the completion of the project. She wants to know if she met or exceeded their expectations or if she didn't meet their expectations. And so I thought that was very, very important that she expressed how much she learns when she asks her clients those questions at the completion of the project, and how she has actually tweaked the way she runs her projects based on some of the information that she has gleaned from these meetings with her clients post-project. So it's an awesome episode. Then we had episode number 45 with Krista Cooper. Krista Cooper is a business coach that is out of the San Francisco area, and she is one of the smartest ladies that I've ever met. And she was on the show 3 or 4 times, but number 45, she talked about analyzing how many hours a week do you want to work? How many weeks in a year do you want to work? And then converting that to an actionable process for running your business instead of wishing or hoping that it all works out at the end. She taught us how to analyze your existing pipeline. She taught us ways to think about how to determine what your hourly fee should be, what the hourly fee of your junior should be. And she talked and explained on how you tie it all into your yearly financial goals as well as your hourly, your working goals, your life goals, okay? How many hours a week you want to spend being an interior designer and how many hours a week you want to spend being a human being, right? So it's a great episode. All right, then we have number 68 with Chad James. He discussed his very precise, thought out system for interviewing and hiring his team members. And I love this conversation. You could tell that he has spent many years figuring it out so that he has it exactly the way he wants it. And I think it's a valuable conversation to listen to, whether you are getting ready to onboard your very first employee, interior designer, junior assistant, bookkeeper, whatever it is, or if you already have a team of 2 or 3 and maybe you're looking around going, why isn't this gelling? Like, what's the deal? Or it is gelling, but you're a little nervous about adding more and how you do it. Awesome episode, smart man. Okay, number 68 that was. Then we have episode 180 with Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams is the principal of Scarlet Thread consulting. She is also a business coach. She specializes in window treatment professionals and an interior designer. She is also a really smart lady, and I love her. And she was on the show 2 times, but 180, she talked about Profit First. Michelle is a Profit First certified coach, and Profit First is a system, a way of looking at and running your financials so that you make money and you get paid. Okay? It's not a hobby. Okay? So she goes through it very clearly, why and how you need to make money. Okay. And so it's a great episode. And there's also a book, Profit First, the whole thing. We talk all about it. Now, I also want to say to you that Michelle is also a speaker at the International Window Coverings Expo. That's going to be this March 27, 28 in Tampa, Florida. And the topic that she is going to be presenting is flat fees that work. Okay. So she's very smart and intentional on the financial side of your business in particular, all around business coach for sure, but she's got this part nailed down. So if you are interested in learning about Michelle's seminar at the International Window Coverings Expo, you can go to www.iwce-vision.com. And you can learn about the seminars. I'm going to be speaking there too. I'm going to be doing the art of the high ticket sale. And so it's going to be awesome. Please come join us. Okay. Now, episode number 233 was the self-assessment that was designed by Corey Klassen and Judith Neary. I love the self-assessment. This is a great place to start because you need to understand what your skill set is, what your strengths are, not only for when you hire other people, but for when you structure your business and your jobs. And so I would say to you is, if you're new, awesome, definitely do this and keep this in mind, the results of this test in mind as you structure the kind of projects that you're going to do. But if you have been in business for a while and you find that it's just not happy, that you wake up and you're going through the motions and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is torturing me, then you're probably spending too much time not in your zone of genius. You're probably spending too much time swimming, upstream. Okay, running uphill. Okay. And so what that means is that based on your skill set, on the things that you're really good at and the things that you really like to do, that's where you want to spend the bulk of your time. And the things that you're not good at and the things that you don't like to do, you want to either eliminate as services from your business or hire people. So if you really don't like to doing the finances, well, you can't eliminate that, right? You got to hire somebody. And you have to monitor that somebody. Don't just hire it and turn it over. If you want to learn what that's about, go listen to Andrew Schumacher's episode. You'll get a lesson there, okay? But, like in Judith's case, she likes to do kitchen design, kitchen and bathroom design, primarily. She's not interested in the drapes and in the, wallpaper and all that stuff. So she just doesn't do it anymore. She's like, not me, not your girl. And so, of course, that comes after many years of being a designer and understanding what makes her happy and what she's good at and what she can really deliver and know that she can deliver a solid project on. But if you're experiencing that, like, I can't stand going to work, it might be because you're spending too much time out of your zone of genius. So go over and do the assessment so that you can see where you should be spending your time. And I will attach that link to the show notes again for 233. All right. Now, the next topic is building your pipeline. So I loved episode number 40 with Meryl Santopietro. I have referenced her so many times on this podcast. So if you're a loyal listener, you're like, we know you love her. But Meryl Santopietro is an interior designer that had a very vibrant, established firm for many years in Rhode Island. And she decided after, I don't remember how many years, 15 or 20 years, whatever it was, but it wasn't a minute, that she'd like to do business in New York City as well. She wanted to sort of have a bi-city business because I think her daughters were grown women and they were living in the city, and she thought, I'd like to spend more time there, but if I'm going to spend time there, I should make it, profitable, which is so smart on her part. Instead of just a money drain, she wanted to make it something that there was a profitable reason to be there. But she had to come into New York City and really build a brand new business here. And you know what she did it? How she did it? She did it by cold calling. She literally walked into and out of real estate offices, developers' offices, in and out of the multi-million and billion-dollar high-rises that are here in New York City, and introduced herself to the concierge at these buildings. And she did it the old-school bootstrapping way, and it paid off in aces. It's an awesome episode, and here's why I love it. You can do this anywhere. You can be in the middle of the tiniest town in Canada, the middle of the tiniest town in Iowa, and you can do what she did. And I would actually argue with you that it's actually easier to do it in a smaller town environment, city environment than New York City. Because how intimidating do you think that would be to, put on your, little designer outfit there and go marching into these multi-billion-dollar buildings and ask to speak to the man in charge or the woman in charge and say, I'm an interior designer and I'd love to help you with your business here. So I think a whole lot easier in a smaller town. But either way, totally valid and totally workable and completely successful. I mean, she did it. She's living proof. So don't tell me it can't be done. Okay. Episode 40. Alrighty. Next episode that I want to look at if you're building your pipeline is episode 245 with Angela Harris of Trio Environments. This is for building a commercial interior design firm. Angela has commercial interior design firm, and she talks about developing relationships with builders and contractors. And she has some really terrific tips on how to be well prepared in order to handle those conversations. She has some tips on where to find them, how to meet them, and what to do when you do meet them. So it's an awesome episode, number 245. Then episode number 266 is with Remya Warrior. Remya Warrior discussed 7 steps to networking. I love these steps. They were literally actionable steps. It's a pen and paper episode. And what I love is that you can apply the steps for building your interior design firm, for making contacts and attracting clients to you for your interior design services. But there are also 7 steps that could work for you if you are interested in becoming friends and being known in the greater interior design industry. So the steps are very valuable, very clear, very actionable, and it's an awesome episode. It's 266. Okay, next what we're going to talk about is quick starts. And quick starts are 5 interior designers that impressed me with how quickly they launched and got their interior design firm up and running with clients in their pipeline. So the first is 167 with Kelsey Gross. She is the principal of the Farmer's Daughter Interiors in Canada. You know that I love and adore Kelsey, that I have a sweet spot for her. I met her at the Design Bloggers Conference in 2017, and she just literally impressed me. And what was really cool about Kelsey was that she's actually quiet. She's not a me person. And she mostly didn't, we happened to just coincidentally sit next to each other, and she mostly didn't reach out and talk to me as much as talk, when I said something to her. But this was the thing. Every single thing we talked about, she's just so bright about and so thoughtful in her responses. And every time she said something, I thought, that kid is smart. So it was a huge surprise to me when I found out that at that point when I met her, her business was not even 1 year old. And so she, in her episode when she came on, she shared some things. One of the things that she did was she did create this blog that ended up getting an award that year for Best New Design Blog. And she did talk about how she uses the blog to attract clients to her. So that's 167. Then we had episode 179 with Lynn K. Leonidas, and also another go-getter. What I loved about Lynn's episode was that she described her very intentional way of getting published. She, within, I want to say, the first 2 years in business, was in, a half a dozen or more publications. You'll have to listen to the episode for exactly how many. But the thing was that she was so thoughtful about it, that it wasn't by chance. It wasn't, oh, hey, aren't I so lucky I got into all these publications? No, she did exactly what Ren Miller, who is the chief editor of Design New Jersey, a shelter magazine here in New Jersey, he said in his episode, make sure you know the magazine that you're pitching. Make sure you know what it is, the type of projects that we usually present and the way that we present them. And so Lynn said she did this exact thing. She didn't learn it from the show. I don't know where she learned it. I don't remember. She might have told us in the show. I don't remember. But the thing is that what she did and what stuck with me is that she would study each of the magazines that she wanted to be featured in, whether it was Domino or Apartment Therapy or whatever they were. And she really would know very clearly the aesthetic for each of these magazines. And then as a project would be available to her, she would look at the project from the beginning and think, okay, this project fits this aesthetic. And she would then design the project the entire time with the outcome in mind, that she would be sending it to the particular magazine that she believed it lined up with. And that was how she very intentionally got published more times than you can believe for someone who was in business only 2 years. So awesome episode for great tips. Okay. Then we have episode 211 with Carly Waters. Very similar. So a couple of other things that stuck out in my mind about Carly's episode. First was she also was published a lot in her first couple of years in business, and also very intentionally. But the other thing is that Carly was a lawyer before she decided to become an interior designer. And instead of just jumping ship, she hired a business coach who specialized in lawyers exiting the law. And she worked with this business coach on getting clear on how to leave the law firm, on how to build a new business, and what things would need to be in place so that when she stepped across and she made the leap, she was doing it with a plan, which is the whole thing that you always need. You need a plan, right? So great episode. Loved it. Very inspirational. Then we had episode 203 with Darla Powell. Hey, Darla, I love you, lady. You wingnut. So here's the thing about Darla's episode. First of all, you'll hear in the episode that I learned after being friends with Darla on Instagram for months and really making an assumption that she was a pretty well-established interior design firm, I find out when I interview her that at that point she was in business 7 months. I was floored. The way that she presented herself in social media, the way that she curated her Instagram feed and everything really looked so good. And I could see in talking to her how and why she was with clients so soon and so quickly, because she was attracting them through intentional marketing. And she's very smart, very brilliant. You have to listen to the show to hear what she was doing 7 months before that. I'm not going to tell you in case you haven't heard the show. You'll have to listen for yourself. And the other thing that's really nice about Darla is that now this is just 1 year in business, about the time, I think it's about 13 months at this time that the show is going up, and she's already established herself as an industry leader. Darla has, she does a great job on her blog. She is a terrific, gifted writer. She's so funny. She just got such a great way of writing, and she really has a gift for bringing her personality through her writing and making you really feel like you know her, okay? And so she started a Facebook group for designers and blogging. And she is just so helpful in that group and is such a good leader, helping other interior designers with their blogging efforts and with ideas and widgets and platforms and tools and all these other things. So if design blogging, if you want to design a blog for your interior design firm and you're looking for some support in that area, look up Darla Powell on Facebook and find her Facebook group, and you will not regret being a member of this group, I promise you. Alrighty. And then the last one is Cheryl Luckett. Cheryl Luckett is the principal of Dwell by Cheryl. And she was just on the show a couple of weeks ago, but if you missed it, I thought it was worthwhile bringing up because Cheryl is somebody that for 15 years had a very good job in corporate world and attended Design Bloggers Conference 3 or 4 years ago, I guess 3 years ago. And as she sat there in the audience, she said on the show that she just went, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be an interior designer. I feel this. And so instead of just continuing on and on and on with interior design as her side hustle and wondering how and if and when she'd ever achieve her dream of being a full-time interior design firm owner, she went back from that conference and she went to a financial planner and she made a plan. She figured out how she could. What she figured out was that she wanted to have 6 months of her expenses saved up by the time she left her full-time corporate job. And she figured out that it would take her 3 years in order to do that. And every single month, every single year, she worked towards it and she achieved it. This past year, she celebrated her 1 year in business as a full-time interior design business owner. And it's an awesome episode. If you are out there now and interior design is your side hustle, but it's your dream to do it full time, okay? And then we have understanding your ideal client, this topic. So we have episode number 15 with Nancy Ganskaufer. Now, you know that I co-coach with Nancy sometimes. We each do our own coaching, but sometimes we co-coach and we do money, mindset, and sales. This is our zone of genius, Nancy and myself together. We share this. And Nancy has been on the show a couple of times, but these two particular episodes are great episodes for understanding your you. The first is niche is rich. Nancy coined the phrase, niche is rich and broad is broke. And this is one of the first times that we heard on the podcast how the more narrow you go, the more focused you get on exactly who and what you do, the better off you will be and the easier it will be to establish a name for yourself, okay? And then in episode 256, she did your business in words exercise. And oh my goodness, I'm telling you what, this is a profound exercise. It truly is. So what it is your business in words. On its face value, it's a way for you to learn how to describe in the best way possible your elevator pitch, right? So that's like the helicopter version of what this exercise, your business in words, is. But what it really is, it's really a very, what's the word I want? It's a very in-depth worksheet on how to get so clear on your value and what you bring to an interior design project and ultimately to your client. And the reason I say that is because I think a lot of interior designers, sometimes you fall into the trap of thinking it's your design ability that's going to set you apart, that's going to make the phone ring. And I'm not saying that it's not going to. I'm not saying that it's not important. Of course it is. But the reality is do it yourself. Just go on house.com and put in contemporary interior designers or traditional interior designers or interior designers in Atlanta. Pick your area. You're going to come up with so many. And yeah, you're going to look at some of the portfolios and you're going to think, are you kidding me with this? But for the most part, you're going to find beautiful work. Right? I mean, for the most part, you're going to look and you're going to say, oh, that's a nice portfolio. That's a pretty room. That's a pretty room. That's a pretty room, right? Of course, there's a difference when you look at luxury. I'm talking about for the 98% of us that, work every day and that are not the Candace Olsons of the world. Okay. So how is a prospective client supposed to pick from 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 choices that come up in their search for an interior designer? And this is how. It's finding out what your you is, what your niche is. And so Nancy has this exercise called Your Business in Words, and I will put in the show notes the link to her website where you can download this exercise. It is remarkable. And I'll tell you what, in the co-coaching coach we did, Money, Mindset, and Sales, we had the interior designers in the group do this exercise, and it's not easy. It's not a phone it in exercise. It's 2, 3, 4, more than a half a dozen of them expressed how they did it over the course of days. I have to look at it, I have to go back to it. I'm struggling with it. I'm not sure. It's the kind of thing that forces you to really think about what it is you bring to the table. Okay. And it's very, 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 very important for you to understand that in order to succeed. All right. Now we have episode 22 with Fred Burns. Fred has been on the show. I think he's the most recurring guest of all of my guests on this show in 2 years. His episode 22 was how to create a killer bio. And it falls right in line with all of this that we're talking about. Your you words. What is it about you that makes you different? You're the only designer who this or who that. Okay. Awesome episode, pen and paper episode. Be ready. Then episode 26, I interviewed Kay Whitaker. Again, another fabulous a business coach. I was going to say interior design business coach, but Kay is a business coach for anybody. She happens to have a lot of interior designers that she works with, so she has a great skill set for working directly with designers. But what we did in episode 26, because she's been on the show more than a few times also, is we talked about branding and core values. And Kay got it right down to, the base level understanding of why you need a brand and why you need to know what your core values are. And when you do know these things, how it helps you. And that's what this whole little section of shows here is on. Then we had episode 125 with Nicole Heimer of Curio Electro. I love Nicole Heimer. You know that. Okay. So Nicole Heimer is a website developer, which is sort of like saying as an interior designer, you pick paint. Like it's just the tip of the iceberg. What I love about Nicole Heimer is that she has this discovery process, and it's sort of like therapy for your business. And she goes through it with you and just asks you question after question. What about this? What do you think of when I say that? And what do customers say when you say this? And when a customer says this, what do you say? And it's all designed to do exactly what all these other episodes that I'm talking to you about in this section, which is get to your you and to your value and what it is that you bring to the table. Because be very clear on this. Once you really understand what your value is and what you bring to the table, then you can charge for it. Okay, because then it's not just picking one pretty portfolio next to another. It's picking a pretty portfolio next to an interior designer who. And as a matter of fact, that is one of the things that Nicole asks you to do if you are struggling with answering the who am I question. She says, ask some of your previous clients, some of your clients that you've had successful projects with. Ask them, would you please finish this sentence for me? Sally Smith is the interior designer who? And what will your client say to you? You might be surprised. You might be thinking, oh, Sally Smith is the interior designer who creates beautiful spaces that have livable luxury that my friends and family and even kids and pets all can live in. Yeah, Your client's probably not going to say anything like that. Your client's more likely to say, oh, Sally Smith, you're the interior designer that communicates with me and that makes me understand all the phases of the project. And I feel so empowered by going through the interior design process with you because I don't think and I know I'm not going to have any surprises. Who knows what she's going to say? It's going to be more like that, though, I promise you, than about your livable luxury. Okay? So get clear on what your you is. All right? Then we have, I'll tell you what, this is the big daddy of these shows in this category. Episode 192, Adam Urbanski, Your Dream Business Design Process. This workshop little thing, it's literally like a workshop on the show, is designed to help you identify your ideal client and how to attract them. So these other 5 shows are homework on you, on how to get clear on who you are and what your value is. But this, not that doesn't become clear for you when you do this process with Adam, but this is designed to get clear on who your ideal client is, who you want to work with so that you can build your dream business. Because isn't that the dream business, a business that every single client is a client that is your happy client, is the client that you love working with, none of the clients that you don't like to work with. So this is a very powerful episode. And I would suggest to you that I'll tell you this, and it aired on a Friday, a Power Talk Friday. And by the next day on Saturday, I had one designer message me and say, I've already listened to the show 5 times. I mean, it was only out on the airwaves for 24 hours. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, and now even to this day, 7, 8, 9 months later, I have designers that say to me they've listened to it 2, 3, and 4 times. So if you typically listen to my podcast while you're running or driving or doing anything else, then yeah, and you haven't heard this one, then listen to it once while you do all that stuff. But to really take advantage of it, the second time you listen to it, sit down with pen and paper and be prepared to stop and start the show as you go through the exercise. So these 6 shows together are extremely powerful and valuable if you are sitting there and you are thinking, I'm not sure what my thing is, what my is, why somebody would pick me over somebody else. Go to these 6 shows, and that's your chunk, that's your homework, okay? All righty. The last group of shows is straight up inspiration, like a Rocky movie. So Rocky is my go-to movie, Rocky 1, when I am feeling like, it just needs to get my mojo back. I love the Rocky movie, of course, underdog and, comes from nowhere and just believes in himself and just keeps trying. It speaks to me too, because I'm a runner. It speaks to me too I'm from the Philadelphia area. Of course, I was in high school when this movie came out, and I had to immediately drive my car over to Philadelphia and run up the museum steps screaming, Rocky. So the thing is that these 4 shows, I think, are sort of like that. They're just shows that if you are like struggling with, is it all worth it? Or you're struggling with a decision now or a turning point, and you're just wondering, go this way or go that way, do this, don't do that. I like these shows for this. So show number 21, Stacey Garcia. Stacey Garcia described in her show a moment where there was an opportunity, and it was a scary opportunity. It was a big opportunity. It was a decision that was a, make it now or don't make it now decision. And she went for it. I'm not going to describe it to you. I want you to hear her tell you about it. But the thing is, it's a moment of listening to your intuition. It's a moment of knowing in your core that, yes, I'm meant to do this. I should do this. And as scary as this is, I'm going to do it. Because that's the thing. We're not saying that it's not scary. Big decisions are almost always scary. Okay. But there is that part, if you listen if you cultivate your intuition and you listen to it, you'll just know that little, yes, I should do this. Okay. And listening to other people that have done this sort of gives you the juice to do it too. So number 21 was Stacey Garcia. Then number 18, Vanessa Deleon. I included this episode because Vanessa had and has a single-minded vision for her career. She has never wavered from the time she was a young girl in college. I'm talking 18, 19, 20 years old. She said, I know what I want to be. I want to be the Latina Martha Stewart. And what she meant by this is she wants an empire. She wants an empire with diversified income streams. She wanted an interior design firm. She wants product lines. She wanted TV. She wants all of it. And she knew it from a young age. And the thing that I liked is that when I spoke to her and when I researched her and I learned about her, she works so hard. She works so hard to get it. She's not just sitting there with this vision and thinking, hey, somebody tap me on the head and make it all wonderful for me. That lady is out there making it happen. And you listen to that show, if you think that it's easy for the people that look like it's all easy. I'm just saying. Okay. Then we had episode 165 with Grace McNamara. Grace McNamara is the publisher and owner of Window Fashion Vision magazine, which I write a column in, so you might want to check it out. But she is also the owner of the International Window Covering Expo conference. And when Grace was on the show last year, she told about the moment when she decided that she would be the publisher of this magazine. And it was an opportunity that came to her. It was an opportunity that it came with almost no time to think about it, no time to debate over it, no time to let me sleep on it for a couple of weeks and make sure and ask every single person I know what they think about it. It was just similar to the Stacey Garcia moment. And she leapt and she did it. And the thing what I love is that we have the benefit, like Stacey Garcia, of seeing how her dream and her gut movement there resulted in what she's created. The same with Grace McNamara. This company of hers, this magazine is 30 plus years old. This conference is 30 plus years. And we can see how despite her fear and despite the hesitancy, that the part of her that knew it was the right thing to do was right, because what she has created in these 30 plus years is nothing short of remarkable. So, and if you want to meet Grace, she is always at the conference, at the International Window Coverings Conference. And as I said earlier in the show, it's going to be in Tampa this March 27, 28, and it's not too late to come down. And Grace is there. She's walking around the show floor. She's in all the in and out of the seminars. And if you want to meet a dynamic woman that, you can use as somebody as inspiration, come on down and meet Grace. Okay. And then the last two shows that I want to bring up are episodes 169 and 184 with Amber Lewis of Amber Interiors. Now, you all know who Amber Lewis is, and you all are familiar with Amber Interiors. This is a high-level luxury interior design firm. Her social media platform is huge. Her presence in the interior design world is huge. And here is the thing that I love about Amber Lewis. This was the sentence that she said that knocked me on my feet. She said, "Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle." Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. I mean, are you hearing that? Are you really hearing it? What she's saying to you is that, yes, you're looking on social media, you're looking at Instagram feeds, you're looking at Facebook feeds, you're looking at all the things that people are doing and the markets they're going to and the licensing projects that they have and, the big, portfolios that they have. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Just stay the course work hard, do the things you know you need to do. And I'm going to tell you what, too. When you listen to this show with Amber, both of these shows, you see how hard she has worked, very much like Shay McGee in that regard. Shay is also an interior designer with a very big platform. They have McGee & Co. and Studio McGee. And what struck me about these two women is how hard they work, how many hours in a day they work, and how focused that they have to be, single-mindedly focused on their vision. Amber described it. She said that there were times that people in her family were like, this is crazy. Like, you're doing this 24/7. What if it doesn't work out? And she said to them, leave me be. You know what? I know it'll work out, but if it doesn't, I need to do this so that I can look in the mirror. Okay, so it's an awesome episode. It's very inspiring, and it makes you realize all of these episodes in this category: 21 with Stacey Garcia, 18 with Vanessa Deleon, 165 with Grace McNamara, 169 and 184 with Amber Lewis. They all make you realize right straight in your face that success at this level is not easy. It is a ton of work. It can be what you aspire to, right? It might be. You might be listening and thinking, I want that. So that's awesome. And I know you can do it if you want to do it. Just don't mistake how much time and effort it takes and how much you're going to take away from family time and free time and going to yoga in order to do this, okay? And the other thing is you might be listening and have no desire for this. You know, you might want to be an interior designer in your local area, work a 30-hour work week, have family on the weekends, have friends over for dinner. The point is, it's all good. It's whatever you want your business to look like, that is the point, is to design your business to be the way you want it to be and not to judge it against somebody else's business. Okay? And then even if your desire, whatever your desire is, if your desire is to be a small firm and work a very reasonable work week and make a nice living and have parameters on everything, even that model, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. So it's great advice. And I just want you to know that I absolutely believe that if you are listening to this podcast, then you are going to be successful. And not because you're listening to the podcast because of it, but because you're the kind of person that looks for new information, for new ways to expand their brain, and for new ideas, and for building and growing their business. That's why I know that you'll be successful. And if the podcast has a little help in all of that, then yay, awesome. Good on all of us, and good on every single one of these guests that have come on in these last 2 years to share their information with us. Okay? So I hope that this has helped you if you have joined our family here in the last 5 or 6 months and have taken a look at that backlog of shows and thought, oh my goodness, I have no idea where to start. So, and also too, it might be helpful even if you are a longtime listener and maybe you have a particular area that you need to work on. Maybe you set a calendar for yourself this year and you said, in January, I'm going to tackle this. In February, I'm going to tackle this aspect of my business. In March, I'm going to tackle this aspect of my business. And maybe I got lucky and hit on one of the aspects that is on your to-do list. So I hope I did. I would say to you, if there is a particular aspect of your business that you're struggling with and you want help with it, please know that I do one-on-one coaching. The mastermind is in full swing. I will be starting another mastermind up in Q2. Just let me know if you want to be involved in that. That's either of those. You'll need to email me at info@luannigara.com. Okay, because I want to have a conversation with you first. That's the whole point. If you want one-on-one coaching or you want to join a mastermind that I'm leading, I want to be able to talk to you, find out what your needs are. so that I'm sure that you get fit into the right spot. But also beyond that, if you're just like, hey, this is the topic that I'm struggling with, what 5 or 6 shows should I listen to? Don't hesitate to email me at info@luannigara.com and ask me, and I will, shoot you back a little list of 4 or 5 shows that would hit that topic. Okay. Alrighty. So I want to tell you, thank you for all the recent iTunes reviews. I really do appreciate them. They are terrific social proof for me when I speak to my sponsors, which is what helps keep this podcast going. So thank you so much. And lastly, I want to say to you, if you are listening to my voice right now, then you are invited to the podcast birthday party. Yes, you are. So if you can hear my voice, if you are a podcast listener, you are more than welcome, and I would love to have you at the podcast birthday party. The party is going to be on Wednesday, February 21st. We're having it at Lefroy Brooks in New York City, and I can tell you, I don't have the list in front of me, but off the top of my head, previous guests that have been on the show that have RSVP'd to come include Sandra Funk, Nicole Heimer, Darla Powell, Sarah Wilson, Sarah Daniele, Heather Gillette, Gail Davis, Kimberly Seraphim is going to be there. Oh my goodness. I'm missing people because, Nancy Ganskaufer is going to be there. I'm trying to think who else. Oh my goodness. There's so many coming. I should have wrote some of them down that already RSVP. So I just did ones off the top of my head, but Darcy Heather. See, they're going to keep coming. Marina Umali. They're going to keep coming. So if you are a listener of the podcast and some of these colleagues of yours are women or men that have inspired you and you'd love to meet them and pick their brain a little bit, then please come out to the birthday party. It's a free event, thankfully, through the generosity of Lefroy Brooks. And of course, some of the Lefroy Brooks teams is going to be there. Warren Pearl, the CEO, will be there telling us all about and letting us use this gorgeous showroom. We'll see all their beautiful product. But then also some of the Kravitz execs are going to be coming too, so you can meet them and thank them for their part in the sponsorship of this podcast. Okay. So if you want to come to the birthday party, it is RSVP only because the showroom only holds so many people. Just go over to luannigara.com/party. That's LUANNNIGARA.com/party, and the Eventbrite RSVP clickable thing will be right there for you to RSVP to the party. Okay, so I just want to say to you, if you are running, driving, whatever, you don't worry about having to go back and listen to this and write all these numbers of these episodes down. You can easily find them at www.luannigara.com/294. Okay, luannigara.com/294. And I will have the things I learned from a well-designed business there. And all of these episodes with the numbers and the titles will all be there for you. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that it helps you get a little bit more focused. And I hope it brings some clarity to this insane amount of content that we've gathered together over these last couple of years. And, the biggest thing, what's the biggest thing you got to do? You got to do something, right? You can't just make lists. You can't just intend. You have to decide. You have to decide to take some action, okay? So gather your lists, write them all down, have your journal, but then decide to do something. Do something that makes your business more profitable, okay? Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.